Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and I got another preview for you. This is Dead Cells, which is currently on crowdfunding right now. And we always don't take compensation for our crowdfunding coverage, but this one I didn't even get asked to cover it, and they didn't have a prototype to send me, so this is just me playing the freely available Tabletopia mod. I'm going to do a solo playthrough, although they don't have the true solo mode implemented in this mod, so I'm just going to kind of like fake solo 3 characters. And then I'll give my impressions of the game at the end. And this is one that I theoretically should like. I love the Dead Cells video game this is based on. I really like Scorpion Mask's previous Zombie Kids and Zombie Teen games. And I'm a big fan of roguelikes and rogue-lites in general. Let's see if this one holds up. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you cannot see anywhere else. We have like 40 of them over there now. You can also check out our separate streaming channel for even more content, listen to our weekly podcast, or join the conversation on our Discord. So the basic idea of Dead Cells, the video game, is it's a roguelike, a roguelite. If you don't know what that means, basically means that you are progressing through a procedurally generated, a random like dungeon or arena or whatever each time. In this one, it's like a side-scrolling platformer kind of battle game, and you're trying to get to the end, but you are expected to lose. But this is one of the roguelikes that has progression each time you die, and you can kind of gain like permanent power-ups and things. So yeah, you're just trying to like get as far as you can, power up, and do it again. And there have been some adaptations and like attempts at roguelike board games in the past, but this one seems to like really be leaning into that the most of any of the ones I've seen, because it's all about like really, really quick plays. You'll see that this play will take almost no time at all, because all you're doing is you're moving your like little token here, and you're just following the path to the right, and you can make, branching choices sometimes. And if you make it to one of these locations, each of these boards is called a biome, and you get to go to the next biome. Like here, I could go to the toxic sewers. And if you go through enough biomes, you'll fight some bosses. If you get to the end, you can fight a final boss. At least that's what I gather from the game page. But much more likely, you'll die if a single one of the characters dies. You can control 1 to 4 of them. It's solo and co-op. If a single one dies, then you roll it back, but the cells you collected and the blueprints you unlocked will let you permanently level up your characters and unlock more stuff for the next time you play. So it really is about like very quick plays and things unlocking, which is totally in the wheelhouse of Scorpion Mask, because again, I mentioned Zombie Kids and Zombie Teens, 2 of their previous games that I really enjoyed and that I did videos of. Those are very much geared towards kids. This one seems more geared toward like casual gamers and fans of the video game. But yeah, they're all about like unlocking progression, like not really, not legacy so much, but more like just, tiered unlocks, kind of like Valor and Villainy that I'm also covering soon does. So yeah, when you get to a treasure chest or like one of these things, you might have a skill check. You'll usually like unlock some stuff. The big stuff is when you get to an enemy, you're going to go into a battle, and you'll put the enemies on these spaces, which determines how far your range is to them. And then in a combat system where you use combat cards and you have limited communication, each player will play a card like one of these, and it'll have different actions on the 3 rounds in combat and also ranges for like hitting the enemies. Very basic icons here. I'll explain them when we get into our first combat. The enemies will also have actions on their cards that'll like have them attacking you and doing stuff at different rounds. And you don't have to defeat all the enemies. You're just trying to take as little damage as you can, but if you do defeat them, you get bonuses. And yeah, again, just keep on trying to go, get as far as you can, beat the game, or if you can't beat the game, at least unlock some stuff. That's the basic idea. And there is like limited communication you'll see in the combat. You're not allowed to say everything about your cards. I'm going to model that as best I can in solo. In the true solo mode, it's you and like this sword that plays a random card, but you can see what the random card is ahead of time, and then you play 2 cards because you always play 3 cards no matter what your party size is. Again, they have not implemented that in this version of... Oh, wait, hold on. Hold the phone. Sorry, this is in real time, everybody. This is the true solo mode that apparently they just added to the mod. So, you know what we're going to show you? First time I've tried it, we're going to show you true solo, baby. So yeah, we've got this sword serenade. And it's going to play 1 card. We're going to play 2 out of 3 for our combats. And interesting. You know what? Let me pause. I mean, y'all won't know because I'm going to skip ahead, but I'm going to go reread the rules for this bad boy because I don't remember how it works. All right, so there we go. I am back, older and maybe wiser, and I've reviewed these Serenade rules. But yeah, it's pretty much what I said. They're going to have a random combat card, and then happy us, we can play 2 cards out of 3. But before this combat, we got some loot. Let's flip this first treasure chest, and it is a green scroll upgrade. The crown means it has to go to the current leader, which is me, not the sword. And scrolls are a temporary upgrade, like they won't go with you into another run when you die, but for now, I'm going to increase my max health by 1, and you just put your damage right on here. So now I would die when I got my 4th damage. And remember, if any character is defeated, Serenade the Sword also has 4, then you lose your run. Green scrolls can also give you resistances, so this would, I think, make me immune to the freeze status effect, I believe. But that's it for that treasure, so now I can go down to this enemy or up to this one. After I pass this one, I will take a skill check to gain a bonus, and then I can resolve some random thing here. Here I know it's a treasure. Let's go down. All right, so here we go, prisoner's quarters, and we are going to have our first fight. Looking at this tile, the first effect up here, the crown rotation icon, means that the first leader token is going to change. So that makes Serenade the boss. I don't feel entirely comfortable with the sword telling me what to do, but you gotta go with it sometimes. And then it tells you who to spawn. Each of the skull icons is a minion, an enemy. If they had a little, I think it's like a star above it, then it's an elite enemy, but here I'm just drawing 2 basic ones. And the little hand icon shows what I can potentially loot during the fight. In this case, it is a blue card, which is a blueprint. So first for the enemies, here you've got the elite ones and the basic ones. We're drawing 2 of these, and they go from left to right. So we're going to have a shield bearer and an archer. And again, they fill in from left to right in the order they were drawn, unless they have a special icon, which neither of these guys do, that tells them that they will be in the back or that they'll backstab you or whatever. And I mentioned this before, but each enemy has actions they'll be taking. The shield bearer has a bunch. In round 1, the enemies activate after your cards, by the way. In round 1, they will gain a shield token for themselves, canceling 1 damage. In round 2, they'll put shield tokens on each person adjacent to them. In round 3, they will do 1 damage. The crown means it has to go to the current leader. And then the bottom thing, the grave, is the bonus you get for killing them. That blue circle is a cell, which is the currency used to buy permanent upgrades at the end of the run when you die. So it doesn't help you at all in your current run to actually get to the end and beat bosses, but useful for the long run. The archer, on the other hand, does nothing in round 1, 1 damage to either of us we choose in round 2, 1 damage to the person with the most health in round 3, and if we kill him, we get a gold tooth. That is usable during a run. It's the currency you use to buy things. And I didn't mention, but the upper left has their health value, so the archer and the shield guy both have 2, although the shields could mess with that quite a bit. Now, I mentioned loot, so how this works is you take the bottommost card. There we go. And I don't know if you get to see it right away or not. The rules were recently translated from French, so they're not entirely clear. But here, this is a blueprint, so it's not an item we're going to get now. It's, again, going to be an item for the future because it'll permanently get added to the item track. It is a wolf trap. You'll see kind of what these things mean, but basically you can get items with this little gear icon, and that's one of the action icons that can appear on the cards you play during combat. Each character has their own basic action they can take with the gears, but the wolf trap gives you an alternative one. In this case, you throw it away after you use it, so it's a one-time use. That's a little X here. It can target anybody in range. Those are the white arrows, and it would freeze 2 different enemies, basically skipping their next action. So pretty cool thing to unlock. But you saw the little grasping, sort of thievery purple hand icon there next to the blue treasure chest. That means that one of the characters in the combat has to play an action with that icon to basically grab the wolf trap during the combat. I do not get that for free, even if I kill the shield bearer and the archer. I think it kind of represents me running off and doing something else in the stage instead of just going straight for the kill. So now we get into combat. And in cooperative, I will explain that a bit. So each player would have 3 cards, and you're playing 3 cards total. That does mean this is sort of the awkward one. I'll talk about this more in my impressions. In 4-player, 1 player has to sit out, but they do get a chance at a free level up to make them not feel too bad about it. In 3-player, each player plays 1 card. In 2-player, the current leader plays double cards, and the other player plays 1. And in solo, I'm always going to play 2 cards, and Serenade is always going to use their top 1. And you are allowed to discuss the general strategy, like which enemies you want to focus on killing before combat. And then when you play your cards, which are played face down, you're allowed to say what you're doing in one of the 3 rounds. So I could say with this card, I am thieving that loot in round 1. And my friends would know not to play their own, grasping card in that case. But they wouldn't know that I'm also doing a gear action in round 2, or with this one, if I said I'm doing a gear in round 1, they wouldn't know that I'm damaging in round 2. So it's limited communication to an extent. You have to kind of guess, why did they choose that action to tell me and not the other thing they're doing? Because usually they do 2 actions. So that's kind of the basics of combat. In solo, though, none of that applies. What we have is Serenade is doing a damage to The white arrows again show where it can hit either a person behind us or the front person, which in this case is the shield guy. So Serenade's going to half kill the shield guy in round 1 and then hurt who's ever currently in the front in round 3 as well. Now, additionally, you've got these things up here. Those are based on the topmost card in my discard pile. And again, the rules don't say, but I'm assuming that since you play 2 cards on your turn, you get to pick which one gets on top of the discard pile out of the 2. Some cards will have these action icons, some will not. And it'll give me a bonus. So like in the next combat, if I have a muscly bicep card on top of my discard pile, in round 3, I would get a plus damage I don't know if you have to do an attack to get plus damage. I think maybe you do. To any attack in range. If I had a foot, I would get to freeze an enemy to skip their first action to anybody in range. Or if I have an eyeball, I would get to, I think it's like targeting or marking an enemy. The 0 means that it happens before combat starts. Like it's kind of like a pre-combat action. And the targeting thing means that every attack against that enemy gains +1 damage. So sort of something more to think about as I play my 2 cards. Which one do I want to potentially be on top of my discard pile? So what I really care about right now is I'd love to do 1 more damage to the shield guy before he shields himself up. But in order to do that, I would have to use this double attack card, which would waste damage because I can only hit the front and so can the sword, so neither of us could attack the archer, and we'd be doing 1 more damage than we need. So then maybe I do, in round 2, 1 damage to the archer, because the enemies, as you'll see, will move forward at the end of each round if no one's in front of them. And then the sword would finish him off in round 3. And looking back at their actions, that means I would be tanking a damage from the archer in round 2, but round 3 we would kill them before they would get a chance to shoot us. Now I would be missing out on grabbing the wolf trap, so maybe it's the right thing to do. Another thing to look at are the action icons. Only this double wound round 1 icon has an action icon, card. So the foot in this case. So playing that will give me a bonus for the next combat. Now alternatively, I could do this one as my other card. That would let me get the loot with the grasping thing in round 1. And then what is the gear doing for my guy? So I'm the immolated. I think there's 4 of these beheaded characters, each with their own unique player boards and unique starting decks. And the immolated's starting ability with a gear is to apply fire to somebody. First fire does nothing. Second fire immediately murders them, which currently with my deck, and the sword's certainly not burning anybody, is completely useless unless I do a double gear, which actually I could do if I played these 2 cards. But yeah, no, I don't really like that, and I want to have an icon for the next combat. Now, you do level up the other scrolls, so like here, when I steal, I also do a damage once I've leveled that up. That's pretty awesome. And then here, if I have 1 life left, in round 1, I get to flame somebody for free, which means then my gear becomes awesome. So that goes from useless to great. And let's see, what do these ones do? In round 0, I get to deal a damage for free, like a little sneak attack. Ooh, after the second level up, I get a free flame on anybody who hurts me, which again will combo with my gear thing or combo with my I'm hurt but I'll kill you thing. And then here I get another free damage. Oh my gosh, yeah, you can get pretty wild with the level ups, although clearly not on your first run. Okay, anyway, let me shut up and play what I'm going to play. So what do we say? These 2, the damage ones. Forget you stealing 1. So round 1, I'm doing 2 damage at range 1, Serenade's doing 1, and I'm firing somebody for no effect. I'm not even going to put it on there. And the only guy at range 1 is the shield bearer. So boom, he's dead, but we do get to his cell at the bottom there. And again, our action happened before there, so his little shield never occurs. And cells and teeth get put in this little communal holding area. Cells and teeth, that doesn't sound very nice, does it? I'm collecting cells and teeth. Disgusting. Okay, and after our actions, the archer does nothing. Absolutely nothing. You so stupid, archer. Here you go. Moving to the front. And we go to round 2. So I am doing a single damage for my second card. And Swordy Boy's doing nothing. So that means the archer is down and not out, and he's doing a damage to one of us. Let's see, I've got 4 life. The sword has 4 life. I think I'll put the heart on the sword, because a lot of the combat encounters move the leadership to the other player, and then a lot of enemies target the leader specifically. So I want to try to be spreading the damage if I can. Okay, and then round 3, I do nothing. But Serenade's picking up the slack. 1 damage on the front person. That's all she wrote. We got some teeth from this zombie archer. Lovely. And that means, sadly, the wolf trap is not gained. I think it's like added back, I don't know, to the top of these maybe? Who knows? Something. It goes somewhere. But that tile is defeated, and we keep going on. Our only choice is to go into the prisoner's quarters. Oh, sorry, I do have to do a few things. Serenade's top guard gets flipped. So now, ooh, this is an interesting one. I have to wait until round 3, but they're doing 2 damage to any enemy. And again, I think I get to choose the order of my discards. So let's put this green foot on top, which is going to give me a free freeze of any enemy in round 0 to skip their first action. Drawn back up. I got a round 1 and 3 attack. And I got... what is this? Apply bleeding in round 2. That means you have to wait all the way until round 4. Yes, some enemies do have like a free attack in round 4, even though you can't do anything. But after the entire combat is done, the bleed means that enemy will die automatically. And then a regular attack in round 3. Okay. All right, moving on to treasure. We can get a purple upgrade for the leader or a loot card. So the sword is currently the leader. They don't have the different types of upgrades. They just always move the same thing up. So the first time we would get 2 teeth. The second time, what is that little icon above? Somebody heals 1. I'm not sure what that little flame thing means. Maybe that means me. And then the third time you get to flip this bad boy and you go to like a more powerful, it looks like, version. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow, these powers are way better. But he only has 3 hearts? That doesn't seem great. Or maybe he heals fully. You know, I'd have to, again, look at the rules. I don't think we're going to get that far. For now, though, just to show what it's like, let's get a loot card. So we're getting a beginner's bow. So at the start of the game, each character only has the ability to hold a single loot card. Now, some are ones that you use with a gear. Others are just like ongoing bonuses to one of your action cards. So this beginner's bow says that in round 1, instead of the action on one of my played cards, I can deal 1 damage at range 3. And I think when you're playing 2 cards in solo or 2-player, you pick which card it applies to, which would be great if I play this card specifically, because it has no round 1 action. So suddenly this would become with the bow, 1 damage in round 1 on a level 3 distant guy, then bleeding, then damage. I mean, how many guys are even going to be at range 3 in this first biome? Maybe none, but it's still pretty cool. But like all the other temporary things, this bow will go back in the loot deck, the treasure deck, when I die and when the run restarts. So it's not like blueprints or the cells where I'm unlocking something permanently. It's just give me some help in this current run. All right, get out. And who is this guy? He's a merchant. For 1 money, I can get a loot. Well, you know what? I don't want to do that, buddy, because I can only hold 1, and I like my bow, so get out of here. All right, now we got to fight again. And this time, okay, we are going to change the leader token back to me. We're going to fight a elite enemy. That's what the gold and the star means. And then a basic enemy. The elite enemy will be in front unless they have an icon otherwise. And there is a green upgrade. That's the health upgrade. Or for me, the freeze immunity upgrade for loot. And hey, you know, the gods must have been smiling on me today because look at our friend here. The elite enemy is an archer. You see that icon in the upper right that says 3rd space? He goes to the 3rd space automatically at the beginning of combat. Now, at the end of the first round, he will advance as far as he can. But that means that my bow is ready for action. Oh my gosh, he's doing 2 damage. And this grenadier is putting a shield on himself in round 1. And then, doing a damage to all of us, or each of us, in round 3. So first, do we have any round 0 powers? Yes, we do. My foot means we're getting a freeze. Thank you, Serenade. And who should I freeze? I think Death Archer over here doing 2 damage is the obvious choice. All right, now which cards do I want to play? Yeah, I think we'll do the Immolated. And then I would like the upgrade. But this would get me an eyeball. Eyeball lets me target somebody at the beginning of the next combat, because otherwise I won't have anything on the top of my discard. I mean, this will kind of be overkill damage-wise, because the sword's doing 2. I'm doing 2 in round 1, thanks to my beginner's bow. And then 2 more later, and an auto kill from this bleeding. Yeah, this is way too much, but whatever, we're doing it. Okay, so round 1, we got 1 damage. We're going to use the beginner bow for another damage here. This one has to be against the Grenadier because it's only range 1. And we're using the bow for the other one, so that's range 3. And Serenade's along for the ride, doing nothing. So Sadness, not focusing my efforts. I do 1 damage to each, which means neither is dead. The Archer gets rid of the freeze, and the Grenadier is going to ignore the next damage they take. So we got to hit him twice. Okay, but back in business, I am bleeding somebody, so they will die automatically. And the next round I'm doing 4 damage? That is too much. Oh, and sorry, the Archer should be here. So the Archer's only doing 1 more damage. The Grenadier is much more dangerous. So I think I'm going to bleed the Archer, because it can be range 1 or 2. And then neither of them do anything in round 2. Thank you. So we go to round 3. 1, 2, 3-4 damage, and oh my gosh, they all can reach all the enemies. So never mind, who cares about the bleed? We can have Serenade do its 2 damage to the Grenadier. Dead, even with the shield, because it only cancels the first damage. And the Archer, I'll do my 2 damage to him. So wow, we get a cell, we get another loot. I guess I can switch it out if I like it better. But once again, wah-wah, we did not grab the optional level up that was here. And what's my new loot? Better than a bow? A cleaver. So this would be an option if my card said it used a gear instead of putting the flame on them, which isn't really effective until I level up more. It would let me put bleed on somebody at up to range 2, which again would kill them at the very end of the combat. Meh, I say no. Although, ooh, actually, I thought this would be a one-time use, but this is as many times as I want. But yeah, bleed is just so slow, and I'll get my butt kicked until it's ready, so we'll say no. Oh, whoops, I forgot. Yeah, I should be the leader. Okay, and Serenade. Well, now, what's their last card? It's doing 1 damage. All right, that's not great. By the way, after they played 3 cards, if you get into more combats, you just use whatever's on their board, which is just a single damage in round 2. That's worse than any of their cards. But there's only 1 more combat left on the board, so I don't have to worry about that. Whereas I will reshuffle. Now I want the eyeball on top. So yeah, if I go through all my cards, oh, crap, which I'm about to do. So never mind, I'm not going to have anything on top. It didn't matter if I did that thing or not. Have I mentioned that I despise Tabletopia as a mod, by the way? So annoying to use, especially when you're used to TTS. All right, anyway, we are getting, oh my gosh, more treasure. I can't hold it, guys. Okay, definitely not getting a loot. I'll get a cell and a golden tooth. Thank you. I'm definitely rich in a macabre kind of way here. And then final fight before we go to the toxic sewers, which is not implemented in this demo. So final fight before I give my thoughts on the game. Whoa! 3 enemies! I guess the bow is going to do some work again. And a lootable meat. That is a healing item. Oh, and it does say that the leader token is changing back to the sword. All right, who have we got? We got a Grenadier with 3 life. Yikes. Another Grenadier with 2 life. And a shield bearer. Okay, well, I kind of like him being in the back. Oh, I really like him being in the back. Because look, he's going to shield himself in round 1 and somebody behind him that doesn't exist. Thanks, buddy. The middle Grenadier will hit both of us for a damage. First Grenadier will do 2 damage total. Shield bearer is only doing 1 and not really doing anything to anybody. So I don't care about him. Although my bow can only hurt him. So that's something to think about. So Swordy Boy over here is doing 1 damage to anybody. You know, actually, if I do both of these... 2 damage. The bleed is an auto kill. The bow would give me a damage, so I could kill the shield bearer straight up. If I bleeded the guy in front and did the 2 damage to the Grenadier, I think that would kill him before he would explode. I might be able to tank all of them. And look, I got a hand to grab the meat. This is the best turn ever. All right, let's try this out, baby. All right, so sword's hitting, doing 1 damage to anybody. This one's doing 1 damage to anybody. Other card does nothing. And we're going to put both those on the shield bearer before he tanks up, which gets us another golden tooth. But then, oh, the Grenadier gets a shield. Okay, we're not going to kill them both. Oh man, that means we're probably not going to stop him from doing his all blast. Okay, and then we got to take 1 damage to anybody, but then the next one's going to be on the sword 4, so I think I'll take it. Yeah, I haven't been hurt yet, and we're about to eat, so no worries. Okay, round 2, a bleed, a damage, and the sword didn't do anything for the rest of the combat. So, yeah, I mean, I can't kill this guy, right? So, doesn't really matter. What was even the range on that attack? Range 2. The bleed is all... Okay, so they can hit both of them. All right, and then he's doing a damage to the leader, the sword. Which means, geez, this someone's going to be dead when the Grenadier blows up. All right, then round 3, I do a yoink and a damage. I'm not sure if you heal immediately or if you sign it after combat. Let's say you can't eat and fight. And again, the damage doesn't matter. Let's just say it's on the Grenadier. He does nothing. This guy hits both of us for 2. But then we do bleed this guy away for another cell. That would leave me with 2 life left. The sword with 1 life left. But then we get to go into another biome. This rune means we can't access this yet. That would be another permanent unlock that we would now be able to skip straight to the ramparts, which I know in the video game was a different stage, like a different path than the toxic sewers. But this time we would have to go into the sewers. But first we get to do inter-biome stuff. And I should have, I think, 4 cells because they didn't give enough in the mod for some reason. So I would go ahead and spend 1 of the teeth to heal Serenade. Oh, that's right. We had the foods. Maybe I would heal them again. I don't know. And that's how Serenade's cards come back, by the way, getting to the end of a biome. So we would shuffle those, and they'd be able to fight again. And yeah, we see how far we can go. Probably not very far, because the biomes get harder. But let's imagine we died and talk about the permanent level up. So besides the blueprints, you've got these different cell decks. And for these, you take cards from the bottom of the deck, and they are going to be permanent things that are unlocked. Mostly good things. So let's say I did we'll just show you the first one for each of them. Minor spoilers. So the first red one is equipment level 1. The group begins the game with an equipment card. Beautiful. So that would permanently go to the start of game until we get equipment level 2. And now every run we would get a free equipment card to start. And I had 4 sales. I'll say that I also did survival level 1. When this card is revealed, take the 2 cards from the bottom of the deck, choose which characters give them to. These cards are immediately integrated into their starting deck. So you get like card upgrades and new cards. And you can give these to the sword, which not only means they have different actions, but also means they can fight longer in other biomes. So here we've got Second Wind. Oh, it's a shield in round 2 to block damage and a food in round 3. So just really tanking it. And Cold Shoulder, a damage in round 2 and a freeze, a skip in action in round 3. That'd be great for like somebody like the Grenadier who just blasts you hard in the final round. And hey, let's do one more. We didn't have enough for it, but let's see what the first tactics unlock would be. Treasure level 1. The group starts the game with 2 gold teeth. So again, the game is like supposed to, and this is somewhat how the video game works. Actually, honestly, Dead Cells doesn't have as much leveling up as things like, I don't know, some of my other favorite ones like Rogue Legacy 1 and 2 or Hades. These are the video games I'm talking about. Dead Cells I always felt like had less kind of permanent leveling up, but in the board game version they have a lot. So you really are expected to like not necessarily get through the first biome or like easily die in the second biome, but then you get more stuff and you go again and you can go farther. And then you get more stuff and you can go again and you can go farther. And really, I mean, you saw like the games don't take very long. The fights don't take very long. If I wasn't grappling with Tabletopia, it would have been no time at all. I'm sure with editing it was probably like a 10-minute play. So that is Dead Cells in the current prototype with my understanding of the translated rules. What do I like? What am I concerned about? So I do like the very quick, like, traveling board, immediately doing stuff. It takes almost no time. You know, comparing to something recent like Darkest Dungeon, which had, like, this dice rolling mechanic to, like, move through a similar kind of thing before you got to fights. I found that really onerous and kind of didn't add much to the game. This one is better. It's very quick, and it's supposed to be quick. Thank you. Just let me get to the stuff that actually matters. The resources, equipment choices, those seem pretty interesting. Like, again, I like the mix of how far do I want to go this run? Like, do I think I'm actually going to beat a boss and get to cooler stuff this run? Or do I want to just get cells for permanent upgrades? You know, like, or do I care more about blueprints that won't necessarily help me right now? Or do I care about immediate equipment that can help me immediately? I like that kind of interchange, those choices of short and long-term goals for the game. And having seen very few of these, the idea of permanent upgrades, and some of them, it is interesting. Some of them do add tougher enemies to the decks as well. So it's not all good. I mean, even that one still like gives you something. So it's not like you wasted your cells to get it. But the idea, from what I can tell, is that like the game sort of levels up with you, and it's not always easier, but generally it's getting easier and easier, and you're getting stronger and stronger. So I like pretty much all of that stuff. Definitely from Zombie Kids and Zombie Teens, Scorpion Mask has proven to me and my taste that they are masters of the sort of legacy-ish, very quick unlock and that endorphin rush of like getting new things each game. Because again, these runs are going to take you like 20 to 30 minutes, it seems like. Unless, I guess, if you go like the full gamut and get to the final boss, maybe it'll take longer. But that, in some ways, is a small part of the game to the combat. What do I think of the combat? And this is a weird one because I like parts of it and I'm not sure about others. So you have 3 cards at a time. And when I played co-op, like I played with Peter last night just to kind of see how it went, it was kind of interesting, you know, to like pick which card you're going to play. And then not only picking which card you're going to play, but also what you're going to say about it. Like if I'm going to play a hand, usually I want to tell people because unless there's multiple things to loot, they won't want to play a hand as well. You know, but then like, if I say I'm bleeding someone, I'm putting bleed on someone in round 2, they know that like one enemy is going to die no matter what. So they can kind of like focus their efforts elsewhere, like really try to like spam damage on somebody in the back or something. So I think the choices of card play and the communication you do with other players is interesting. And then the solo mode is kind of interesting too, because it's very simple. I like that it's streamlined and straightforward. The co-op combat is fast too. I like that you don't have to like think about the sword. It just kind of gives you pretty good stuff automatically. Playing 2 cards, I didn't love it last night with Peter when one of the 2 of us would play 2 cards in each combat. I don't love it in solo either. It is slightly better in solo, I think, because you've got the whole choice of a card going in your discard pile to get a bonus from Serenade. Although you saw that won't matter in the first fight you have in a biome. It probably won't matter in like the third fight you have in a biome because you'll have shuffled. Although I guess your deck will get bigger as you add those power-up cards. So yeah, I'm not like 100% sold on the 2-card play in solo or 2-player, but I think it's okay. And again, you know, this is going with the thing I already said. I do like the leveling up. I like the choices there. The combat icons don't seem that interesting, but it seems like they will get way more so as you unlock stuff, which is going to happen after a few runs, which I think is kind of nice. Like, especially if I'm going to play this with more casual people or play this with my kids, which I think it is like other Scorpion Mask games, probably better for those audiences than for like heavy, intense gamers. I think the fact that you sort of are tutorializing the game automatically is cool. Because, like, my abilities are super basic to start out. Like, this guy has fire. One of the other guys gets shields. One of the other guys, like, freezes people. And it's not until I'm probably doing, like, my second or third or fourth run, I'm guessing, because there's not much in the demo, that I'm really going far enough to unlock these cooler things and cooler abilities and cooler combos. So I appreciate that. And it seems like there is some difference between the different beheadeds. You're going to have different like combos inherent to them. You're probably going to want to add different cards as you level up, go after different loot, find like, builds in a minor way. I don't think it'll get too deep, but it should be kind of interesting. So yeah, I think a lot of this is good. I guess my main concerns are player count right now. Solo seems pretty cool because you have the discard thing. 2-player seems a little meh. Neither Peter and I were like loving, again, the 2-card play. Because really, if you think about it, when you have 3 cards in your hand and you're picking 2 to play, in a way, all you're picking is 1 card not to play. Like which card is the least useful in the current circumstance, which is not the most thrilling or brain burning choice out there. Which fine for kids, fine for casual. For me, maybe not enough. Now, I think 3-player would be the sweet spot. Every player plays 1 card. The limited communication is really going to come into play. And that's my main gaming group, so I do think this could be fun to play with them. 4-player is a little weird. Combat's pretty quick. You saw, combat is pretty quick, but you're not in it some of the time when you're the 4th player, because 1 player has to literally sit out. And yes, you get to flip a card from your deck, and sometimes you level up for free, but that doesn't mean that I'm involved. I mean, it's going to depend a lot on your taste. Like some people don't mind watching other people play for a while, some people do. So I'm really not sure about the 4-player count and what that'll feel like. It's again, comments are pretty quick. Like to compare it to another game that I reviewed and I like somewhat, but don't like when you're at high player counts, which is Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid and the new G.I. Joe version. When you're not in those fights, those are like sometimes 15 to 20 to 30 minute fights. These aren't that. I think the longest fight, once the players know the games, will probably be like 5 minutes. So maybe 4-player is not that big of a deal. But yes, I am hesitant right now for 2 and 4-player. I'm somewhat optimistic. This is the only time I've played true solo, but I'm somewhat optimistic about solo play now because this does have some cool things going on. And then 3-player seems like it'll be fine. So yeah, I've liked the game. This is interesting. So I played it kind of like mucked a solo game, like a co-op solo game before they have the true solo in there 2 nights ago, and I didn't like it. I was like, this is dumb. The combat's simplistic. This is stupid. I played with Peter last night. I thought the limited communication was pretty cool in the co-op. I had a bit more fun. I tried out different characters and saw they were pretty different. So I kind of enjoyed it. And actually today was my favorite play of the 3. So I don't know for this one. I'm kind of starting to like it, and I can see that it'll be fun to unlock things. Now, the problem is it does seem like the price point is pretty high to me, but I don't crowdfund that many games. So you all who crowdfund more, I think it's like 60, maybe it's like 60 for the deluxe with miniatures. Why do you need miniatures in this game? I don't know. People love their miniatures. I think it's silly, but almost everyone who's pledging right now is getting the miniatures, so good for them. Then I think the retail, let me check. Yeah, gosh, I just looked. So in US dollars, the basic pledge is 66 before shipping, and the deluxe is like 86. I think there's 8 different biomes. There's probably a ton to unlock. I think each biome has its own unique enemies. I don't know. If they sent me a review copy, I would play the heck out of this one with my kids, with my 3-player gaming group. I think we'd have a blast. If not, for me, this is a tough sell at that price. It feels like a lighter game. It's heavier than their Zombie Kids games, don't get me wrong. And of course, there's an IP here, so I understand the costs and everything. But the Zombie Kids games were in retail, so I don't have to like pay any shipping costs, and they're like $20 or $15. So there's definitely more going on here. I don't know. That's up to you all. But yeah, I will say I thought this was going to be a super negative preview when I first played the game. And now actually playing it, I'm kind of thinking the game is pretty fun. I'm kind of having a good time with it. And again, they didn't send me a prototype. That there's no like review copy deal I've made with them. They aren't even like talking to me. Like it's not like I have a communication line with them. So there's a good chance I'll never get a review copy of this one. I'm not saying I enjoy it, to suck up to anybody. I just think it was actually really cool. So you all go to the crowdfunding page if you want. I think the game's up, depending on when I post this video, for like another 6 or 8 days. Decide if the price is right for you. Hope this was at least a little bit helpful. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.